Also, we haven't.
And here we are. Good morning. Welcome to One Heart, One Mind Center for Spiritual Living. And I'm going to invite our wonderful, fabulous, amazing musician, Jessie Powers, to kick us off this morning. Welcome, Jessie.
Hello. Good morning. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
I have a different mic setting today, so I want to make sure that that's working. Well, I was debating about what to play, and I thought maybe I'd play something healing. Can you feel my love? Let it wrap you up in a warm body. It is more than enough that you are simply breathing right now. You bring your highs, you bring your lows. You try to prove to me you don't deserve anything. I'll keep holding the space for you to simply be here right now. And it's a hard road to loving yourself. It's a hard thing to believe it enough to be loved by somebody else. You may be lost, you may be shaken and confused, but none of this is gonna dissuade me from loving you. And all this darkness is just a feeling, and it's feelings that make you grow. And when we're growing, it means you're healing, making your way to where you let resistance go. And I can show you the way, and I will reassure you that through it all, I'm gonna stay. Won't you let me in? I am standing at your door, waiting. I don't care if it's a mess in there. I just wanna see you shine as you are. And it's a hard road to loving yourself. It's a hard thing to believe it enough to be loved by somebody else. You may be lost, you may be shaken and confused, but none of this is gonna dissuade me from loving you. And all this darkness is just a feeling, and it's feelings that make you grow. And when you are growing, it means you're healing, making your way to where you let resistance go. And I can show you the way, and I will reassure you that through it all, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay. And I love you, darling, whether or not you believe that I do. Oh, and I love you, sugar. So open up and receive what I'm giving you. Oh, all this darkness is just a feeling, and it's feelings that make you grow. When we're growing, it means we're healing, making your way to where you let resistance go. And I can show you I will reassure you that through it all, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay.
That was perfect. That was just perfect. Thank you so much. That was the right music for this moment. Oh, and so I would like to invite our practitioner of the day, Rob McGregor, to pray us in and to say a few words. Morning, Rob.
Good morning, all. I have not done this practitioner of the day gig for years and years, and don't remember much about how to do it, but I set out yesterday to figure out what I was going to say, and I could not concentrate. And as Reverend Michelle has said, we lost our Reverend Leslie a couple of days ago, and it was, I think March of 2016 when Reverend Michelle came to be our senior minister. And soon after that, I joined the board of One Heart, One Mind. And I was in the boardroom. It was a meeting room, and around the table were the other board members. And it seemed like everybody had a function. For instance, Zoom engineer Jim was our facilities manager, and everybody had something to do, and I didn't. And I thought, what can I do? And well, I had been a software engineer, and they sure didn't need one of those. So, but I had been trained in college to be an accountant, and I had a degree in accountancy. And I thought, well, Reverend Leslie was our board president. And on top of that, she was also keeping the books because she knew how to do that. And I thought, well, maybe I could lend a hand. Maybe I could do some of that. So I offered to her, I said, look, I'm qualified, I'm competent. I got a couple of years of corporate accounting under my belt. And then One Heart, One Mind is a corporation, so I could help you with this. And I figured she'd probably stick me with going to the bank and standing in line at B of A and making the deposit or something like that. I could handle that. Instead, she shows up with boxes and boxes of accounting records. And I didn't realize it at the time, but she was basically saying, you're the new treasurer. So I remember later telling Michelle that I had been conned into this job, but it really wasn't true, because what it turned out that Leslie for weeks and weeks had been praying with her prayer partner for someone to take over the accounting job. I was not conned into this job. I was prayed into this job. I was a manifestation, and Leslie was powerful. Leslie was extremely powerful. It's hard to create somebody to do accounting work for free. I know. I've talked to people. Nobody wants to do it. So, and that's kind of the way Leslie is. For instance, if you want to create a change in the universe, a lot has to happen in the background. You do the prayer work, but the universe does the heavy lifting, and there's a lot of moving parts in the universe. In order for this, I had to do the accounting training, and I had to have the experience, and I had to be there at the right time and volunteer, and boom, then it happened. For instance, if you need a car, say, and you don't need a new car, but you need a reliable car, and you need a car that is free of charge, and you pray on that. Somebody has to acquire the car. Somebody has to have it and not use it. Somebody has to be sick of it and say, I just wish I could get rid of this. Somebody else has to know about that. Somebody else to talk to somebody who knows you. And all of these moving parts just work magnificently in a perfect universe where this is happening on a scale of billions of humans, all doing this for ourselves. Every day you do things that, unbeknownst to you, are creating the situation so that other people you don't even know, other people you will never know, are going to need this change in order to experience, in order to have it done unto them as they believe, because that's the perfection of the universe working on a massive, massive scale. And so anyway, getting back to Leslie, Leslie declared that she had had enough. She was ready to check out of this life, and she declared that she wanted to go. She wanted to go painlessly, and she wanted to go quickly. Well, in my experience, we got pain under control medically, but quickly is not generally how cancer works. If you notice, Leslie was here with us last week. She was on the Zoom screen with everybody else, and she even did the benediction. She was present, she was participating, she was right here with us, and 5 days later, she was gone. That is astonishing manifestation. And so Leslie was obviously, she was in the ministry. The ministry is about teaching. And the best form of teaching is teaching by example. And Leslie did exactly that. She showed us the power of her word and the power that she could exercise. Leslie was a teacher. She was a magnificent teacher. She was a friend. And Leslie was a force to be reckoned with. Leslie was just absolutely splendid. She was a class act. And so I invite you to join me, to sit back if you're so inclined, to close your eyes if you're so inclined, and know with me that this is a wonderful universe. And this gathering that we have right here is a wonderful gathering of people here to partake, to enjoy, to acknowledge that the universe and its perfection are here for us. We are here to realize how we can better utilize the magnificence that is the universe, how we can do what Leslie did to create the changes that we desire. And we are so grateful that the perfection of the universe is here for us. Thank you, God, that this is so. I am so grateful. So grateful for this group, so grateful for the message that we hear today, so grateful for the people that are here, the people that have gone, for all of it. Thank you, God, I release my word. And together we say, and so it is. And now I'm not really couched in what happens next, but it seems to me we read something, Michelle. Is that not the case?
Yes, we do. Thank you for reminding me. I was going to skip to the music, but I have this lovely affirmation that I put together here for February. It's Ernest Holmes.
Oh, I didn't know you authored these, Michelle. That's great. If you would read this with me. February's affirmation. By some mystic presence, I was told to live and to love, to laugh and be glad. I was told to be still and know the one mighty power in and through all. I was told to let that power work through me and in me. I believed that voice and I received my good.
Oh, thank you, Rob. That was fabulous. What a tribute. It couldn't have been more beautiful. Thank you. Jessie, music sweetheart.
I gotcha. Ooh, seems we're in a tender moment together, and one of those precipice moments where we are pushed into a place of unknown and letting go. And so this song celebrates the love that is there in the unknown and in the letting go. Lately, my favorite thing to say is, what do I know anyway? Breathe in, breathe out, and let it go. And settle into the unknown. This is the place where my heart runs free, giving it up to the love in me. Every wall you break, every boundary, I feel it a little bit more. Your love is the only thing that'll ever be sure. one step as steady as I can. When faith becomes the only plan, be brave, be still, my beating heart. There is a safety in the dark, and all I know is that you do. So take my hand and lead me through. This is the place where my heart runs free, giving it up to the love in me. Every wall you break, every boundary, I feel it a little bit more. Your love is the only thing that'll ever be sure. Ooh, ooh, This love is sure. This love is sure. This love is sure. This love. This is the place where my heart runs free, giving it up to the love in me. Every wall you break, every boundary, I feel it a little bit more. Oh, I feel it a little bit more. Day by day, I feel it more. Your love is the only thing that'll ever be sure.
Wow, that was beautiful. Really touched me. Thank you, Jessie. Oh, so I'll just take a deep breath in. Whew. Oh, good morning. You know, just good morning. Just feel the morning. Every one of you beautiful, magnificent people of One Heart, One Mind Center for Spiritual Living. And for those that just popped in today, so welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And certainly by divine appointment. So much like Rob, I've been tripping over myself trying to decide how to begin the service, you know, and as a human being, as I said, I'm feeling very sad and full of grief. You know, I'm on the edge of tears. And yet, as a divine being, I am certain that there's no reason to be sad. And our friend, our beloved friend, and that strong, steady, powerful spiritual being of Reverend Leslie Massipus has moved on. She made a transition on Friday, and we feel her absence. We feel her absence. But I also feel her presence. I also feel her presence around me and here in this group. I intuitively know that she's at peace and she's excited about this next part of her journey. Jim shared that he had a little conversation with her, that she's having a great time. And her passing also makes me think deeply about the idea of immortality and how in Science and Mind we view that continuity of life when our human form falls away and our spirit moves on to the next phase of an infinite life. You know, and I'm going to continue with the talk that I prepared before I heard of Reverend Leslie's passing. But I've also made a space at the end of our service for us to honor and talk a bit about our immortal nature. So, good morning again. Welcome to February. You know, this month we have what I think is a very interesting and thought-provoking theme. It's curiosity as a superpower. You know, I am a big fan of curiosity. Curiosity is what's kept me living on that green growing edge of life. Curiosity invites us to be inquisitive and inquiring and fearless about moving into the unknown. Curiosity says, hey, let's live in the mystery. And Ernest Holmes, our founder, he invited us to be curious, he said. He said, God planted curiosity in us to keep us from sitting still in one place. And then he added that if we weren't curious, we wouldn't have evolved. And I know that that is certainly true for me. If I hadn't been curious, I'd just still be sitting in the same place. Curiosity welcomes in new ideas and new perspectives. And curiosity invites us to ask empowering questions about our world and who we are in it. And then when we engage with new ideas and new perspectives, curiosity asks us to discern what is true for us, to check in with that deep intuitive knowing within us, to see what rings true for us. We get to discern what is ours, what we want to hang on to, and what we just want to let go. Curiosity is a catalyst for our growth and our evolution and our transformation. I love it. And certainly as a teacher, I've always had to be curious. Through the years, curiosity has led me to a deeper and deeper understanding. Really, it's more like a deep knowing that we live in a spiritual universe, that deep within each of us is a presence, the source of all life, a larger life, that unifies everything. Christians call it the essence of the Christ. Jews call it Emmanuel. Buddhists call it the Buddha mind. It's the presence of God, no matter what name we give it. It's that spark that animates everything. It's life. It is life. And through my curiosity, I've come to understand that not only is life unified in this one presence and power, but that life is also governed by an intelligent, universal law of cause and effect, a creative law we call it. And just like other natural laws, this law is constant, impersonal, reproducible, and it responds to everyone alike. But here's the caveat. When we comply with its nature, it is constant, impersonal, reproducible, in response to all alike. And because we individualize the law, we can either use it negatively or we can use it affirmatively. But we must cooperate with its nature to enjoy its full benefit. Holmes told us that the true law is a law of liberty and not of bondage. And I truly believe that. And that within us, Spirit, God, whatever it is that exists, that bondage does not exist within the divine mind, that there is only freedom. Bondage doesn't support life. And only what supports life is real, is true within the divine. So I remembered a little story as I was putting together today's message. A few years ago, I went up to Tustin in Orange County, and I attended this all-day workshop with Daniel Namot. You probably know who he is. He's a new thought musician. He wrote songs like One Power, Love Is My Decision, and all kinds of other wonderful songs. His workshops are always really kind of fun events. And in the afternoon session of this workshop, I remember I sat next to this man. He was quite a bit younger than me. And we got to talking about life, and kind of out of the blue, he started telling me about how he had attended Centers for Spiritual Living. And then he went into this almost kind of hostile spiel about how he had tried the law of cause and effect and how that didn't work, and that it was all a bunch of hooey. I don't actually think he used the word hooey. It might have been something else, but he said he'd never try that again. And I just kind of listened, I didn't say anything about who I was or what I believed. And he was really not interested in what anybody else thought anyway. But I remember thinking, I wonder if he ever thought that maybe, just maybe, he wasn't using the law the right way. He wasn't cooperating with his nature, that maybe he wasn't participating with this natural law in its nature. And that's why it wasn't working for him. Maybe because no, I've had times when I've repeatedly done my affirmative prayer for a particular outcome and not seen any demonstration. And I had to stop and ask myself, what is in the way here? Why is this not working? What am I either consciously or unconsciously believing that is getting in the way of demonstrating the answer to my prayers? It's sort of like a computer. When something on my computer isn't working, it's generally operator error. Not always, but most of the time. And like any error, once it's corrected, things start to work. Things start to flow. So here's what I know. Creative law works. But creative law doesn't necessarily respond to what we say. It matches how we feel. It matches the level of our vibration, our resonance. It matches what we really believe, not just what we say we believe. So if I say, I believe in the infinite abundance and prosperity available to me through my oneness with God, but in my heart, in my body, I'm still feeling poor and limited and that I'll never have enough. That feeling that I'm holding in my subjective mind, might not even be aware of it, is what impresses law. That's what law says yes to. If our conscious and our subjective or unconscious mind don't agree, then we're working against ourselves. Now, the good news is that repetition in our conscious thinking minds can shift old patterns that are stuck in our subconscious or subjective mind, as we say a lot in Science of Mind. Repeating affirmations, telling ourselves the truth in God, and feeling it in our heart, rather than just repeating or affirming what the external world and our past experiences have told us and continue to tell us. That will begin to shift old patterns. But an even better way to transform how we feel and what we know about ourselves at a deep subjective level is to go within and experience that divine presence. Tap into that reservoir of good, the fruits of the Spirit, or the God qualities within us. The feeling of true abundance is already within me. It's already within all of us. That alignment with that resonance or that state of being will shift us, and ultimately it will transform our lives. And just like the man who told me the law didn't work, he was proving that it did. The law was giving him exactly what he believed. That law, he believed the law didn't work, and he was proving the principle that it did. So, kind of interesting. Today's talk is what lies beneath the surface, which when I first read it, it sounded a bit like a bad horror movie, but it actually points us in the right direction. I'm sure you've all seen that picture of an iceberg floating in the water where you can see that about 10% of the iceberg is above the water and the other 90% is kind of hidden under the water. And that's a great analogy for our conscious and our subconscious or subjective mind. Our conscious mind is about 10% of what is actually going on with us, and the rest lies beneath the surface in our subconscious mind, which is one with the universal mind or the mind of God. And it's very empowering when we realize this, because we know where to go to really affect change in our life. When we get curious about what lies beneath, that's when we get to witness and to experience the beauty and the mystery and the majesty of the kingdom of heaven within, as Jesus put it. There's a story about two women who went on vacation in Hawaii, and they decided to go snorkeling. So they went to this place that was supposed to be one of the most beautiful snorkeling spots on the island. And when they got there, one of the women, Susan, she'd grown up around water, and she was very comfortable with it. She jumped right into this beautiful lava-formed lagoon. But Anne, the other woman, she wasn't a great swimmer, and she was a little scared of water. So she still wanted to experience what everybody had been talking about, the beauty of the underwater world. So she kind of slowly headed out into the lagoon. But when she got about knee deep, she just kind of froze, and she couldn't go any deeper. And so her friend, Susan, saw that she was distressed, and she went and took her hand, and she gently kind of guided her down into the water. And finally, Anne got up the courage to put on her mask and dip down into the water. And then when she finally came up for air, she was all excited. And she said she'd never look at the ocean the same way again. It was so beautiful and magnificent. And as it is with the depths of the ocean, so it is with the depths of the consciousness, our point of consciousness that is connected to the oneness and the wonder of the infinite life. When we go here, we see life differently when we come back up to the surface. So let's dig into this idea of what's beneath the surface just a little deeper, because there's a lot going on down there. You know, we've talked about how, maybe not in this talk, but other talks as well, how as human adult beings, we internalize and we individualize beliefs that we've gathered over a lifetime of exposure to ideas and perspectives from our parents and our teachers and our general culture and from our past experience. And we've also talked about how our inner world is an avenue through which we commune and experience our oneness with God. So which is it? Is it old stuff or is it God stuff? Well, it's actually both. You know, I think of us as these points of expression for God, which is a term Holmes used often. We individualize God at our point of consciousness. But that doesn't mean we're separate from God. It just means that we're free. We're free to individualize God through us as we choose. And we do that by means of the law. You know, we have an individual subjective mind, which is the way that we gather information in our humanness. But we are also one with this greater, infinite, subjective mind. And because we're one with this greater mind, we have access to everything that is within it, everything that is within the greater mind of God. And we experience it in our lives to the degree that we tap into it and allow it to become the state of our being. You know, so we're a choice. You know, we can either just tap into that storehouse of our limited human knowledge and experience that we've gained, or we can go beyond that and open ourselves up to this limitless storehouse of infinite mind, of infinite good. But it's always there, right where we are. Now, I don't want to make it sound like I don't think affirmations and gratitude and all manner of spiritual practices that draw our conscious mind into thinking affirmatively aren't productive or beneficial. They are. They are especially valuable for getting our thoughts and our feelings back on track when we walk through our daily lives, when we encounter triggers that might pull us back into old patterns of thinking and feeling. These tools are truly beneficial. However, going within, connecting with the presence of God within us and aligning ourselves with the qualities of God brings us into alignment or resonance with the state of being of God, of good. It aligns us directly with how we want to feel. Yeah, there's another great story that I want to share with you. I read across it and I thought, oh, that's perfect. It's the idea of that contrast that we experience in our human form and how focusing, well, I'll just read you the story. So there was a professor, I don't want to, it's a long story and I kind of want to just paraphrase it, but I don't want to miss anything important. There was a professor at a university and he was challenging his students with a question. Did God create everything that exists? And the student answered, yes, he did. And then the professor said, well, if God created everything, then he must have created evil. Does that mean that God is evil? And then another student raised his hand and he said, Professor, does cold exist? And the professor answered, of course cold exists. Haven't you ever been cold? And the student answered, in fact, sir, cold does not exist. According to the laws of physics, what we consider cold, in fact, is the absence of heat. Anything is able to be studied as long as it is transmitting energy. Heat is transmitting energy. Absolute zero is the total absence of heat. So cold does not exist. What we've done is create a term to describe how we feel if we don't have body heat or we're not hot or warm. And then the student continued. He said, does dark exist? And the professor answered, of course. This time the student replied, wrong again, sir. Darkness does not exist either. Darkness is, in fact, simply an absence of light. Light can be studied, darkness cannot. Darkness cannot be broken down. A simple ray of light kind of tears through the darkness and illuminates the surface of where the light beam ends, where it's finished. Dark is a term that we humans have created to describe what happens when there's lack of light. And finally, the student asked the professor, sir, does evil exist? And the professor said, of course it exists. We see injustice and crime and violence all over the world, and those things are evil. And the student responded, sir, evil does not exist. As it is with cold and darkness, evil is a term which man has created to describe the result of the absence of the presence of God. The presence of God in the hearts of man. And the story goes that this man's name was Albert Einstein. Now, I have no idea if that's actually true or not. I'm going to lean towards not true, but it doesn't really matter. Evil, that contrast, what looks like death, what looks like disease, what looks like lack or limitation is actually the absence of the truth that is the divine, that is in God. You know, in our human lives, there's always contrast. It's the contrast that helps us decide what we prefer to experience. And our ability to align with what is true in the mind of God and our ability to participate with creative law is what empowers us to create lives that we want to live, that we desire. And our ability to feel, to experience the presence of God within us, that tells us a lot about who we are, because in our oneness with God, we share its nature. If God is infinite, then we're infinite. You know, and that's something that we're talking a lot about this morning. As Reverend Leslie, you know, one of our foundational members of One Heart, One Mind, as we love her on her journey and sit with the absence of feeling her in our humanness, but know that she is that strong and constant presence that she always had in our spiritual family, that will always be here and always be with us. So really, after I heard of Reverend Leslie's passing on Friday, I went right to the Science of Mind textbook and I looked up that chapter on immortality to see, you know, kind of get it right from the horse's mouth. What does Holmes say about immortality and about death? And Science of Mind teaches the continuity of life, that when we shed our human bodies, we move on into a different dimension. And Ernest Holmes made it very clear in his writing that he believed in the continuation of the personal life beyond the grave. He said that we keep our memories and our personalities. You know, honestly, we all have to decide how we feel about that, because we really don't have any other way of knowing. But he believed in that continuity of the invisible or the invisible stream of consciousness in its full recollection of itself, moving on to the next stage of life. And from my personal experience, I do believe that too, because I've had, my parents pass away. I've had people close to me, and I've always been able to feel their presence and communicate with them on an invisible or a heartfelt level. So each of us has to decide how we feel about that. But from the science of mind perspective, there is always a continuity of life, and that it never ends. And it makes total sense to me that we would move on into a greater yet to be, to move on when we're complete with this physical form of life into something new. So as we move through our week this week, I invite you to hold the memory of our beloved Leslie, feel her presence and all that she was and all that you are because of her presence. And just give great thanks. Just give great thanks that she has been a part of our physical experience. So I'm going to end there, and then we'll share our feelings about this topic. But let's pray first. And I just want to move us into that connection with the divine, knowing that all is God, all is good, all is spirit, all is well. And that there is a power and a presence that continues on, that moves us on to a greater yet to be when our physical form is done. And that we don't have to wait to die to be immortal. We are immortal now. We always will be immortal. And it brings us comfort to know that as this life draws to an end, we move on into a greater yet to be. So we all are living, moving, and having our being in the one divine life. I speak my word for and about each and every person on this call, for our beloved Reverend Leslie, for Jim, for all the lives she's touched, that there is an opening that allows the human grieving to take place with ease and comfort, and that there is an allowing of an understanding of a greater yet to be that will flow in and move through us as our lives right here and right now in so many beautiful and magnificent ways, that we celebrate the majesty, the mystery, and the mysticism of life itself. And so I just relax in knowing that all is well. I give great thanks for the ability to be human and then to move on from that humanness. Thank you, God, for this. Thank you, God, for all. Just relaxing in that, just knowing all is well. Whatever we experience, all is well. And together we just say, and so it is. And so it is. And you know what? I have absolutely I think it's you, Lisa. Are you doing the benediction for us this?
No, it's me.
Oh, it's really okay. I always forget that part.
All right. So you want me to talk about giving at this point?
That would be wonderful, honey.
Okay, great. All right. So, a little while ago, us practitioners or at the board meeting, we were talking about how good it feels to give to One Heart, One Mind. It's just very exciting. And so this is an opportunity to do that right now. There's just a feeling of, just a really good feeling inside to give back as you receive spiritual nourishment and support and love. And so you can give to Venmo, and that's quite easy. And send that to One Heart, One Mind Center. So Michelle, are we using the new mailing address, or has that happened?
We're going to use the old one for a while.
Okay.
And I believe that Jim already put the address in the chat.
Great. Okay, so if you would like to mail a check, you can mail it to Jim Massapus's address, and it's in the chat room if you'd like to do it that way. And now I'd like to offer a affirmative prayer for giving.
Yeah, hang on a second. I kind of messed that up. I had it up and then I didn't. All right, let's get it again. Here we go. Here it is, Rolene.
Thank you. Sacred giving. Everything flows from the nature of God's good. We receive from this flow. We give from this flow. We give in gratitude and in love. We have faith in the infinite giving nature of spirit. And we say together, and so it is.
So it is.
And so it is. Yvonne, do you have the announcements for us?
I do. And before I start them, I just want to let you all be sure that you realize we have a guest, Kelly Jo, who's joining us. She's going, oh. And I just want you to know that you're welcome to join any of these things that I'm going to talk about. So that's why I did that. Monday evening prayer group is from 6 to 6:20. And we're hoping that you'll join us on Zoom for silent prayer for One Heart, One Mind Center. And anything else that you want to pray for too, but specifically for our center. Tuesday evening, spiritual learning from 6 to 7. We're going to be beginning a 3-week book review of Jim Massapust's book, Thank You, God, That. And that's kind of exciting because he's right, one of us himself, and that's kind of fun. So please join us, and we'll be reading and discussing chapter 8, Gratitude, this week. So if you need the reading, please contact Reverend Michelle, and she'll take care of you. And then I have some reminders. Paying attention to and expecting unexpected income is a wonderful way to remind yourself where your abundance comes from. And on top of that, it's fun. So daily science of mind readings by our practitioners and Reverend Michelle continue. And they're on the CSL YouTube channel every day. If you read every day, if you listen every day, by the end of the year, you'll have the entire Science of Mind book read. That's pretty awesome.
It's quite an experience to listen to yourself read the science of mind.
It's cool. And then my other part is just, please know that you're absolutely, totally supported in supporting the center, our center, by donation. Like funding a musician like our wonderful Jessie, sending an encouraging gift or note to someone via our kindness fund, or just donate to our center. It's what keeps us going. And that's all I have.
Oh, thank
and
you.
Welcome, Kelly Jo.
So I'm going to invite Relaine. Would you like to do the benediction, and then we'll have Jessie play for us again, and then we'll chat.
All right, so let's just close our eyes and just feel the gratitude. Feel the gratitude of the presence of spirit flowing in and of and through each and every one of us. This beautiful service, holding the consciousness of love and light and goodness and kindness and compassion. And just knowing the truth for each and every one of us, that we really are spiritual beings living a human experience. And this is good and very good. And so I'm so grateful for the music today. I'm so grateful for Reverend Michelle, for Rob's honoring of Reverend Leslie. So grateful for Reverend Leslie and Jim and all they've given to One Heart, One Mind. And I'm just so grateful for each and every one of you. And so I know as I release this prayer into divine law, there's just a shift in consciousness that just feels wonderful, moving us into new realms of spiritual expression and love and light. And I simply say with all of you, and so it is.
So it is.
And so it is. Oh, goodness. Well, how's everybody doing? Does anybody
Jesse's
wanna
turn.
talk?
Jesse's turn
Do you
first.
want me to sing again?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Got ahead of myself here.
All right,
Hello.
here we go. Okay, you guys have a part. It goes like this. It's really easy. The lyrics are, I see my blessings in everything, okay? I see my blessings in everything. It's just like that, super easy. I see my blessings in everything. Okay, now I'm gonna sing. Hear it. Sunshine on my face and the day is made magic. Sometimes I still find a way to make my life seem tragic. Good things pour down on me like summer rain, so warm. I try to run, but it's so much better to dance in the storm. You see, I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. I accept my pain without question, it's a blessing. I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. I'm expanding and I'm standing in the heart of love, in the heart of love, in the heart of love. Things crumble into chaos and I don't know where to turn next. Feels like it's a failure, but I know it's all for the best. Good things are coming my way, even if I can't see them yet. And if I open my eyes and trust, I'll see that I've been blessed. So I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. I accept my pain without question, it's a blessing. I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. I'm expanding and I'm standing in the heart of love, the heart of love, the heart of love. Here we go. I see my blessings in everything. I see my blessings in everything. Okay, take a minute and actually see your blessings. I see my blessings. Think of some things that are blessings in everything. Even the painful things. I see my blessings in everything. One more time. I see my blessings in everything. Michelle, you're
You're muted, Michelle.
Okay, well, then I guess you didn't hear anything I said. I said, thank you, Jess. That was beautiful. And I said, we need to see the blessing.